Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, with Valentine's Day coming up, I put together a short little 7 question quiz, mainly for the men out there. How do you rate in the bedroom? Are you a good lover? Are you adequate? Are you providing pleasure for your mate in the bedroom? And I got a short 7 question quiz. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I am not I'm not professing to know everything. You know what? Here's the bottom line. I'm 59 years old. I've been dating. I've never been married. I've never had kids, but I've been dating consistently all the time since I was 14 years old. So I've been dating for 45 years. 45 years I've been dating. And I've said this before, and I don't say this in any kind of exaggeration, but I've been with well over 100 women. If you go, 45 years, that's only two and a half a year. And so it's no exaggeration. So I've got some experience in this area. I've had a lot of long-term relationships. I put together by no means am I an expert or anything like that. I just put together 7 questions that I think are good all-around questions on how you would rate to a woman. And in a man's opinion, how adequate are you? And I even included a question that I failed, so that I didn't put all questions that everything that I would pass. So it's kind of so I tried to be a little more objective on this. All right, now the first question, it's nice and short. You just give yourself a point for each question. So 7 points, and you're top of the line. 1 or 2 points, and you need some help. All right, and the first question doesn't have anything to do with the bedroom. I think a lot of this, they say that with men and women. I think when you see somebody, you make up your minds about them. You're either you're attracted to them, or you don't like them. You make up your mind about somebody in seconds, in a fraction of a second. Just by body movements, or the way somebody looks, or the way somebody even smells. And so it's an all-around thing. So here's the first question: do you open doors for women? Not just your woman, but women in general. I don't mean to say your woman. I don't mean to sound possessive, like that. But do you open doors for women? Car doors, restaurant doors. You know what? I started doing this. I didn't start doing this until I was 40 years old. So I got clean and sober. And when I first got clean and sober, I didn't date for 7 years. I lost weight. I started working out. I got clean. I got clean and everything. And the first time I dated was 7 years into sobriety. And I was just so happy, so gratified, I felt so lucky to have a girlfriend, a beautiful, intelligent, successful. I mean, I was in love with this girl. And I remember just playing with her hair, talking to her, and just staring. I had those moon eyes, which I don't get a lot. And I started opening the door for her, and it made a big difference, because other women see that, her family sees that, her friends see that, people driving down the street saw that. I remember when I opened the door for this, when I first started dating, I opened the door for this, my girlfriend, and her neighbor, she told me her neighbor came up to her and said, hey, you gotta keep him. I saw him open the door for you. It makes a difference. Stuff like this makes a difference. Okay, next question: when you're getting intimate, do you strip down? Do you take off everything? And this is the one I failed. All right. Here's the point. Here's the rating system on this. All right. If you leave your shirt on, you lose a point. If you leave your socks on, you lose a point. I leave my socks on. I got terrible, nasty. My feet I got scars all over my feet, and I can't feel. I've lost feeling from accidents in my feet. And I leave my socks on all the time, except when I'm in the shower. So I failed this one. But there's going to be times when you have the Fast and Furious fun, and you get more points if you once in a while you leave all your clothes on. Okay, so this is kind of a trick question. All right. Do you put women's pleasure before your own? Are you more interested in gratifying her? Are you more focused on how she's feeling, her voice, her eyes. There was a girl I dated that her legs would start shaking, her eyes would start vibrating, and I knew that I was on the right path at that point. Do you put a woman's pleasure before your own? Do you take care of her situation first? Are you more focused on her getting pleasure out of it? Because I think that's important. I've always, and it's always worked well for me having this attitude. Okay, next one here. This one's kind of hardcore. After everything's said and done, who gets up and gets the soapy, warm, wet towel? The rag. I don't mean rag, but the towel. Who gets up and gets that? I got to be honest, a lot of times the women get up and get this. I don't know if they're just more in a hurry to clean things up or whatever, but do you get up once in a while and get the soapy, warm, wet towel after things are said and done? You get a point for that. Okay. Are you a gentleman? Do you keep what goes on in your bedroom to yourself all the time? Do you tell your buddies? You lose a point for this if you're not a gentleman. This is something I really believe in. It's nobody else's freaking business what goes on in your bedroom. Here, it's a big, and you got to think about this. It's a big mistake. If you got a woman that's got a spectacular body, or she does spectacular, she's very talented, or whatever, you guys have a great time in the bedroom. It's a better idea to keep that to yourself, because when you start telling your buddies are going to tell their buddies, and your woman is going to start to become the focus of attention. Guys are going to start lusting after her. If you start, that's not the only reason to not tell people. It's more of a gentleman thing. It's nobody's business what goes on, what she does, what she says, what she looks like in the bedroom. Keep that to yourselves. Be a gentleman. You get a point if you keep that to yourselves. Okay, next one, number 6. Do you change it up? Are you always in the same position? Are you always on top? This is one thing I always change it up, man. In different places, different positions. I am not a fan of the good old missionary. That's my least favorite. Do you change it up, all the time, or is it the same time on the same day in the same position? God, you lose 3 points if that's what you do. If it's the same day, same time, and same position, you lose 3 points on this one. Okay, last question, number 7. Do you pay attention to her whole body? I had a girlfriend that loved getting, she had aches, aches in her, she was a jogger. She had aches in her calves and her thighs, and she loved getting massages in her legs and her thighs. And this usually, a lot of times, it progressed into wild, more intimate situations, because neither one of us planned it. We're both watching TV and she's laying on the couch across from me, and she's like, she used to call them rubbies. Can I have some rubbies? So I was like, yeah, I don't mind doing it. I'm watching TV, so I'm rubbing her thighs and her calves, and if it starts feeling good to her, I start, checking out her body, and, before you know it, unplanned situations like that are the best. They're just so freaking hot when you don't plan it, and all of a sudden you just both look at each other and you're both getting all worked up. That's the best. So, do you focus on other, don't just go right to the hot zones, pay attention to the neck, the ears, the toes, listen to a woman, listen to what she says. Or not, you don't even have to listen to what she says. Just look at her reaction, her breathing, her eyes. I had another girlfriend where her eyes, I remember her back would start to get like perspiration. I don't call it sweat, but she'd get like a strip of perspiration down her back, and her eyes would kind of roll back, and it kind of freaked me out at first, but that's when I knew, you pay attention to a woman's body. Do you pay attention to a woman's body? Don't just go to town on the hot spots. That's number 7. So you get points for that. So I think I kind of went off track here with the numbering system, but it's more or less a point. So if you've got a lot of points, you're doing good. I'll be back later. I'll come back later with another video, another quiz on with help for Valentine's Day. I'll be back in a while, you guys. Have a good Tuesday.